I hope this isn't too distressing for Rebecca Jewell, but we're going back to the Andes Mountains. It was during the summer after my sophomore year of college that I was in Peru for just over 2 months in the Cusco area. And I was doing service work while I was there. And during that time, I had the privilege of going out to a very rural area for a retreat that was being hosted that brought people together from that region. And we drove about 5 hours through the mountains, through the Andes, to get to the site of this retreat, which was, did I mention, very rural, quite far out there. And on these mountain roads, and some of you may have spent time in places like this, dirt roads up in the mountains. Technically, I'm sure it's not totally vertical, but if you stand and you look over the edge, it looks like it's straight down, and if you stand along the wall on the side, it looks like it's straight up. Very, very steep. And there's a lot of switchbacks to get through these mountain roads. And as you're going on these mountain roads, at least there, the system was, if you were driving there into the day, as you were approaching the corner faster than you should have been, you would just blow your horn. So the person coming the other direction would hear you blowing your horn over their own horn that they were blowing. And if it was at night, you would just flash your lights as you were coming up to the corner so that surely they would see you flashing your lights. And this led to a lot of really dangerous situations. And I remember actually on this trip, at a moment like that where the driver blew his horn, a bus came around the corner. I'm thinking, I don't know how the bus is driving on these roads. Coming around the corner, and it slams on its brakes, starts to skid. John, who was driving, not me, John, a different John, slams on the brakes and skids up against, literally against the wall as the bus slides by us and barely misses us. So these are the sorts of things that happen regularly. And when you're on these trips, you get to see vehicles that have not made it down over the cliff, which is a very sobering sort of thing to see. So we're on this trip, and it was very, very rural. And to capture that, how rural it was, we were staying at a school. It was the regional school. People would come, students from hours away, to go to this school. There was one bathroom. It was an outhouse, and it was the worst bathroom I've ever used. It was made of adobe brick, and it was just a pit. There were 2 metal rods that held up 2 boards. And other than that, it was just straight down 6 feet into what you imagine might be at the bottom of an outhouse, especially in an area that everybody has parasites and is dealing with digestive issues. So you either had to pull in and then back out, or back in and pull out from this bathroom because it wasn't safe to turn around inside. And so I was using it at one point, and very uncomfortable. There's no door, and all of a sudden something started hitting me. And I was like, what is going on? And I see over the crest of a little knoll there, children throwing pebbles at me as I go into the bathroom. So that's how rural it was. On the way back from this long trip that we were out there for, we were driving through the night, and Dawn, one of my coworkers, had a flight in the morning. And so I am on this nighttime van ride. There's a 15-passenger van called a Combi. John, the driver, Dawn, who needs to get on the flight, and I are sitting in the front seat, 12 people behind us. I am trying to sit in such a way that John doesn't mistake my kneecap for the gear shift. And we're on our way through the mountain passes, flashing lights around every corner. We come around one of these corners, and there is a line of traffic. Now, there really wasn't traffic. I mean, there was that bus, maybe 2 other vehicles that we passed both directions, and there was literally traffic backed up hours and hours from Cusco. So John parks, and we get out, and we walk up to the next vehicle and ask, what's going on? And I said, oh, there's a landslide up ahead. And we said, well, what's happening? They said, well, we're waiting for the people to come from the city in the morning to clear it. We're like, we can't do that. Dawn has a flight in the morning, and we have to get back to Cusco. She can't miss the flight. So we will walk further up, and we take a look at the landslide. The landslide is from a little like aqueduct type thing that's at the top of what looks like a completely vertical wall. And it has broken through and knocked all this dirt across the road. Thankfully, nothing has been taken with it. When I say nothing, I mean no vehicles and people, but it's 8 to 10 feet deep on the wall side, and the road is maybe 10 feet wide, so it tapers the whole way across. So it's quite deep down to the edge, and it's probably 15 feet of road, maybe 20 feet of road that is covered by this. And again, it's dirt road, slicked with mud. So we start asking around for shovels. And we collect a bunch of shovels. It is a full moon, beautiful night, middle of the night. For the next 2 hours, we are digging a landslide off the side of the mountain. It was really easy because it's a complete drop off. So we're just pitching it off the side. We get it down so that there's maybe 1.5 feet of mud. And John thinks he can make it through now. So we all stand off to the side. No one else is in the combi. And John gets a running start with the combi, at this mud. And he hits it. And he's partway through and he starts fishtailing because this is slick mud. The back tire goes within 1 foot of that drop off when he gets it back and pulls through the mud and stops, and our hearts and our breaths start working again. We all get in and we drive the rest of the way to the city, and Dawn is breaking just in time for Dawn to be dropped off at the airport for her flight that we thought for hours before that was going to be out of reach. Thank you.